I wanted to talk about some books that I absolutely love that are made up of anti-heroes that I think that you will absolutely love as well. The anti-hero or the morally gray character is like one of my favorite things in fiction. Like, I love when our main character or like one of our main characters is kind of questionable, right? It's like you kind of get why they're doing what they're doing, but you don't really understand like their methods, but you get their motive, and like they may not be the best person, morally speaking, but you're still rooting for them for some reason, and you're like, they're not these like real good, just upright people, but you can't help but kind of want to see them win at the same time. Like, that is something I absolutely love. I love a morally gray anti-hero type character. So I wanted to kind of like compile a list of some of my favorite books that have this like trope in it and see if maybe you want to read some of these. The first one is Promise of Blood. This is the first book in the Powder Mage series, and pretty much everybody in this book is like morally questionable. Like, you get why they're doing what they're doing, but like sometimes you're like, whoa, bro, why are you doing it like that? Like, do you have to kill that many people? Or like, what is your problem? Like, that is how I felt about this book. Like, no one is just good and just and wholesome. Like, everyone is different shades of gray fading to really, really bad, reprehensible people. So I think that this is one that you would absolutely love if you like that really like dark sliding scale of morality. This is a flintlock fantasy, so we've got magic and muskets basically, and we're following our one main character as he has just like brutally murdered the king and his whole like staff basically, and a bloody revolution, and is kind of trying to navigate this political world and what he does after this like bloody revolution. And I think that a lot of people are going to love this. I liked it. It was a 3-star book for me. It was not perfect, but it's also a debut novel, so I usually give those some slack. And I do want to read the rest of the series and see what happens. So I really recommend this one if you like some of those more like questionable morals. Next is actually a YA book, and that is Renegades by Marissa Myers. We are following Nova, who is basically the niece of the head of a super villain crime syndicate. And she is trying to infiltrate the superheroes by pretending to be someone that she's not, pretending to want to be one of them. And we get to follow her and like her motivation of infiltrating these heroes, but becoming friends with some of them, but also hating them, and then kind of hating herself because of it. And it is such a good, fast-paced YA superhero story. I absolutely loved this series. I read the entire thing last year, so I really recommend it if you like YA superhero. Pick this up. The next one is This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. This is the Monsters of Verity duology, and it is a YA series, but I think it leans pretty older YA, and both of our main characters are pretty morally gray, especially Kate. She is definitely more of an anti-hero than anything else, and I absolutely love her. This takes place in a very violent world where violence creates monsters. So different violent acts create different monsters, and these monsters go around basically attacking people, killing people, hurting people. And it's kind of like a justification for violence. It's like you can't commit an act of violence or else it will beget more violence. And it's a really cool like commentary, if you really think about it, on like violence begetting violence and the whole like eye for an eye. So it's just a really, really good story, and I absolutely love it. And I think it's a really good one at showcasing the complexities of our characters and you know, their morality and where that sits. And I just really recommend this one if you want some good anti-hero goodness with no romance. No. I couldn't talk about anti-heroes without talking about my favorite anti-hero, Victor Vale. And that is from Vicious, also by V.E. Schwab. This book, I love. I love Victor. I love Eli. But Victor is just my absolute favorite character. And he is the epitome of being an anti-hero. He is not a good guy. Like, no one in this book is a good guy, but it is just so good. I love the story. I love seeing how these two just normal college boys make themselves into more. And they are trying to basically find a way to create EOs, which is basically like superheroes through near-death experiences. And it's just really cool to see where they go and just like the depths of their morality and what they will do to protect themselves or to protect each other or to protect the world at large. And are they right or are they wrong? And it's just so good. And I like the sequel to Vengeful. And apparently there's supposed to be a third one coming out at some point. So yay. Now, y'all might argue with me on this one, but the Mistborn series. I think the Mistborn series is filled with morally gray characters. Ven and Kelsier specifically are very morally gray. They are kind of your anti-heroes, especially Kelsier, because they're willing to do whatever they have to win and to get their point across. And that might not always be like the good, right, just thing to do, but they're going to do it because they feel like they have to. And to me, that is that morally gray kind of not good nor evil aspect. And I love it. And there are other characters in this story that are also just as, you know, morally gray as Ven and Kelsier. And I absolutely love it. I think that there is so much depth to these characters. And while they are willing to go to these really violent extremes, they're still like good people, you think? So I absolutely love this series. And my final recommendation for morally gray anti-heroes is Ren from the Poppy War. I love this series. I know it has had some mixed reviews, especially the last book, but I loved it from start to finish, from book 1 to book 3. I gave them all 5 stars. Ren is this badass, just take no prisoners character, and she does what she thinks is right and what she thinks is good, but that is not always morally right nor good. And she's just going to do what she feels like she has to win, what she has to defeat her enemies. And I absolutely love that. She is so complex. I don't think she's evil, but I also don't think she's very good. So I just love it. And I love watching her descent and her change in her character from the first time we see her in book 1 to the very last time we see her in book 3. Like, I love this series, and I think if you want some anti-hero love, then this is one for you. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about some of my anti-hero morally gray book recommendations, and let me know if you have any recommendations that you think I should pick up that were not on this list. All right, well, thank you for hanging out with me. My name's Jessie, and I will see you next time. Bye.